Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. All right, so for my audience, my guest today says her personal story has entailed overcoming physical, emotional, and spiritual health obstacles. And through all of it, she's found unique ways to share wisdom, joy, and hope with the world around her. And so here's some fun little things about her. She's an author of multiple publications, screenplays, and books. She writes epic adventure fictional novels under a pen name. In 2018, she wrote, directed, and produced the short film The Face of Suicide. In 2013, she was the assistant art director for a feature film about the tragic reality of human trafficking. So this just gives you a little taste of what she's up to and what she's done. So we're super excited to get her on. But before we do that, before I officially welcome her, we've got to do a shout out to our sponsors, right? We got to get this in. All right. So today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photography. If you are a creator needing post-production, consultation, or promotion, Walt Mills is your guy. Whether short films, YouTube films, photography work, or a new headshot, he can help you find a solution to match your needs. To learn more about Walt and his work, go to photosbywalt.com. We also want to give a shout out to our friend Chris Clow of Upbeat Media Productions. If you are in need of turnkey special event production, Clow is your go-to. To learn more about him and his work, go to upbeatmediapro.com. All right, we got that done. Bam. All right, so our guest, Nicole Elizabeth Smith, is the president, founder, and chairman of the board for the Treetop Clubhouse, a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides curriculum and resources to students, guardians, and educators. And what they do is they support long-term health and well-being of vulnerable youth, at-risk teens, and young adults. So cool stuff going on there. She's also the owner of Fine Pearls Media, a digital marketing company that offers services such as website development, corporate branding, all the things, right? In everything that she has going on, Nicole continues to fundraise. She does community outreach to raise awareness about at-risk teens, give support, provide resources, and shed light on human trafficking. So welcome to the show, Nicole.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we are. I'm going to say it. Super excited to have you here today. That's my word.
I love it.
It's not just excited. We're super excited.
And until you read that bio, I thought I did a lot of stuff.
She does. I like her bio. Like I looked at this, because I have them send me the bios.
Right.
And I look at this, and it's so hard because so many of these people that come on here do such incredible things, and it's like, what do we want to highlight here? Right. Because it's hard. Like they just have so many great things, and she's just one of those people that has done a lot of cool things.
All the things with all the stuff.
Good stuff. All right, so I want to open this up, and I'm like, where do we start? Yes. I think maybe what we do here is let's talk about the treehouse.
Yeah.
Talk about that, how that came about for you, because I think this is a really important thing to you. So let's start with that.
It is, yeah. So the Treetop Clubhouse, I call
it treehouse. I said treehouse, the treetop.
A lot of people refer to it as treehouse.
I'm like, treehouse sounds fun.
Yes, it does.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, it's one that... I mean, with stories, I think there's like so many starting points. And so even with like this one, I feel like it started in a lot of different places and then all kind of converged in the center like a web. But this was something that back in 2018, I was asked to come speak at a high school. It was a difficult situation. There were these young girls. They were dealing with a lot of heavy topics. And so they said to me and these two other women, we all come, we all talk. They're dealing with so many different things, all these kinds of different obstacles with trafficking, with drug abuse, with teen pregnancy, just all these very difficult issues. And so they said if you'd come in, if you'd prepare materials, talk to them, show them that they matter, that they have value, that will hold the most weight with them. So we traveled out to Ohio. We were at this high school. We spent a week in there. And I just felt so strongly that there were so many things in these girls' lives that were out of their control. Things that they had no say over, that they couldn't change about their situation, their housing, their schooling, anything like that. But if they could understand, that there are certain things that you can still make choices on, that you still do have some control over, that you can kind of take the reins on, that would really help them the most. And so talking about the idea of like joy versus grief in their lives. So I didn't realize how much that was going to resonate with these young girls, because that is a very hard topic. How do you approach that with younger audiences? And the program director, she, spoke to me afterwards and was like, hey, this is so awesome what you guys did here this weekend, but when y'all leave, you go back home, what do we have to like carry forward with these girls? What can we keep using to implement and helping them? So this whole project kind of came to life, and she was like, well, what if all these girls, write these letters to you? Maybe you could write responses to them. And so I was like, okay, sounds good. I don't know what that'll look like, but let's do it. So I started getting all these letters from these girls, and it's their story and what they're facing. And, some of them asked to remain anonymous because they were difficult topics. But all of these things came together, and it was one of the first books that I had published. It was called I'm an Overcomer, and it was the response to them and everything they were going through. So at the time, I loved writing. I loved figuring out ways to help people, giving back, like all of that. But in my mind, it was still a one-off situation. It was just something that I had done. And my husband kept saying to me, like, I see you going and traveling and speaking at schools and publishing books and having a bigger influence than just this one, isolated, scenario. And I was like, that sounds great, but how do I do that? You've got a full-time job, you've got, all these other things pulling you in different directions. And it wasn't until the end of 2020 that it kind of was like, okay, no, it's really time. Like, let's really do this. And so at the beginning of 2021, we formed the nonprofit, we built our board of directors. And so here we are almost 2 years later, and the Treetop Clubhouse lives and breathes and is doing exciting things. So.
Wow. I think this is so interesting too, because our guest that we interviewed before you, she helped speakers speak. And so I'm like,
I love it.
It's kind of like we just kind of sort of transitioned into this next
Yeah.
conversation about you going and speaking and doing all this. And so this 501c3, did you share a little bit about what you talked about? It's helping with, we talked about outright risk and human trafficking, all of that stuff. So you guys are providing resources to the to parents, to the different organizations. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we kind of have a three-prong approach
Okay.
to who we're trying to reach out to. So one is kind of a category that we call learners, and it could be anybody. It could be students, it could be at-risk teens, it could be adults that just want to personally develop themselves and grow. It doesn't necessarily have to be, high school or college age or anything like that. So anybody that wants to, grow as selves as a person, that's kind of that one first bucket. Okay. The second one is anybody who is in like a parent guardian type role. They could be a foster parent, they could be an adoptive parent, it could be a grandmother or something that's caring for somebody else in the family. But the bottom line is it's somebody that has other people, younger audiences in their home, that they're responsible for their learning and education and development. And then the third bucket is what we call educators, and it doesn't have to be limited to teachers. It could be community volunteers, people working at Boys and Girls Clubs, mentors, coaches, really anybody that's helping people external to their household learn and develop and grow. And so everything that we create, resource, curriculum-wise, anything like that, it's approaching it from those three perspectives. So it's either for the individual, for a parent, or for somebody who's an educator.
Got it. Okay, this is awesome. And I know Chloe doesn't know this, but you and I talked offset, because I always, if we don't know them immediately, I always have to feel like I go through this little vetting process where I gotta be like, I got to know what you're about, right? And I told you that because we're always trying to find these like authentic people that have these sort of unique stories. Well, she was introduced to me by Cheryl Powers, and you remember Cheryl.
Yeah, Cheryl's
She
great.
wrote me a message. She kind of, I think, connected us via email, and she's like, you two need to connect. And she said she's doing something that I think you need to know about. And so we jumped on a Zoom, and one of the questions I remember asking you, I don't know how I worded it, but the question was something about, how did this come about for you? Because she started talking about this holistic way that she's doing things, and I'm like, you have to have gone through something to have that kind of that I feel like that mindset.
Yeah.
Because I feel like awakening things where we have these like changes in our lives, these massive changes usually come about when something happens, right? Like some kind of a health crisis, a divorce, a death, something massive comes around. And so I want to talk about that really quick, because she's got all this amazing stuff going on, and you don't have to go in too deep, but that's the question I want to ask you is, how did this come about for you? Because you've done so many things. And in the beginning of this, we talked about here through her, physical, emotional, spiritual health, she's found ways, uniquely to share her wisdom and all of that. So maybe share a little bit about how that kind of came about for you.
So definitely on the physical health side, I've had chronic health issues my entire life. So that kind of became my normal. Not that that's a good thing, but it does. And, we had talked a little bit about this, offset as well, that physical health problems can often also lead to the emotional health problems, that they're very interlinked with each other. And so I would say between those two things, there was plenty of things, in my, history and in my story and stuff that were, heavy things to go through, and in 2018, literally a month after I had done that speaking engagement at the high school, I actually had a very severe near-death experience. I was hospitalized. The nurses that were on the intake team the night I went into the ER did not think that I was going to pull through. Wow. So I remember on day 6, they're getting ready to discharge me, and the nurse that had been there the night that I came in was actually the nurse that was there the day that I was leaving. And she was telling this other nurse in my hospital room, we didn't think she was going to make it. The night she came into the hospital, our entire team was just we need to make her comfortable. I was on morphine and Dilaudid and all these things that were we're helping you transition, And my husband was there all 6 days. He wouldn't leave my side. The nurses were you have to go home. You got to take care of yourself too, Yeah. And he was no, because I know she's going to pull through. I know she has more things to do. And so I'm not leaving because she's got to make it. Yeah. And so it's little things like that in the moment, it was something that happened. But looking back, it's one of those things that it changes your perspective. You kind of get a taste of life really is short. And if I really do have things that I believe I'm supposed to accomplish, that I have a purpose or something I'm supposed to be doing, I don't have time to waste in other areas. I have to do what I'm passionate about. I have to do what I love. And so I think that was one of many big turning points, but that's kind of the biggest one that comes to my mind as far as kind of pushing me to go.
Well, and I think that's huge. Did you get chills? I got chills when she was doing that. Because it is, I've had people ask me that question too, how do you stay positive, or how do you stay passionate about what you're doing? And we just talked about this before, that we're not positive every single moment of the day, right? We recognize that. But I think overall, I feel most of the time my life, I feel is pretty good, and I tend to look at things from that perspective because I've been on that other side where life sucked. It really looked, and I didn't really realize that, for me personally, he knows my story, and I think I shared it with you, but for me personally, after when I spent those 4 years of that chronic, pain, but the depression that went with it, I think when I came out of that, there was such a victory from that I realized that, gosh, for two things, how do people that live with chronic disease, live with that and not want to change, not want to be better, not try to work to be better, because that's such a miserable existence. But also it gave me kind of what you said, the perspective on the other side, to go, life is short. It is too short to be sitting around dumbing it down, ho-humming. It was in our previous show. Ho-humming your life, just going through life and being mediocre, and just I can't go that way. I just can't. I can't.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's the heart behind our first project that we've been doing through the Treetop Clubhouse, which is called the Joy Project. Okay. And so, joy was something that I had talked about, at that high school. We talked about joy and grief, but the Joy Project kind of took it to a whole nother level, different from how it was in the I'm an Overcomer book. Okay. And with the Joy Project, it was really looking at, from my own personal experience, but also with, advisors in health and in, counseling and all these different areas. So, fully researched, fully vetted, fully, looking at things from a very high level picture. But looking at your physical self, your emotional self, and your spiritual self.
This is the part I like.
And so with those three things, I was able to see in my own life and through my own research and my own studies and all that, how these three pieces were integrated. And so if you, if you're working with, younger audiences and you're only ever talking to them about their physical appearance or their body or whatever, that's only one piece of them. Right. You can't neglect how feelings and emotions and relationships and all these other pieces play into who they are.
Oh, but people do.
They do, though.
They do.
And so that's why for us at the Treetop Clubhouse, I was like, if we could help people understand, you could have a full picture of what you are from a young age. Picture. Yes, if you could understand that from a younger age, and if the parent figures in your life could help instill that into you, and the educator people in your life could help instill that to you, you've covered the entire growth cycle in a sense, to where younger audiences are then growing up with a full picture of themselves, which means they're more likely to understand who they are. They're more likely to go on to do what's actually fulfilling and meaningful to them. And one of the examples that I had given, at that high school way back when, and I still think it was the right analogy for the audience at the time, but it was an analogy of plants. if you can identify, okay, like I'm a tree and I'm meant to produce apples and I'm supposed to produce 100 apples a year and that's a sweet spot for me. If you've got somebody who comes along and says, no, we need you to produce oranges, we need you to produce 200 of them, and they're trying to change everything about who you naturally are, you feel like a failure. You feel dissatisfied. You feel like something's missing. And it is, because that's not who you are. It's not who you were made to be.
Right.
So if you can help people understand what they are, who they are, why they exist from a young age, and even unlearning the more negative things at an older age, like that allows people to then make choices in all those areas that set them up for a life of joy. So that's where the Joy Project title comes in. So.
Fantastic.
You see, now I know. Now you know why Cheryl connected. Cheryl, I had her tell me this, and I'm like, I know exactly why Cheryl sent you my way. Because I'm sitting here, and while you're talking about the whole thing that's going through my mind, the world would be a better place.
Yes.
There'd be a lot less disgruntled, moody people, happier people.
Yes.
Because
a lot of people don't realize that what was indoctrinated in them or ingrained in them, that they don't realize that they don't have to follow that.
Yes.
And when you ask those kind of people that question, the one question is all you got to ask them, what do you want?
Yes.
And they have such a hard time with that because some of them will go like, well, my mom wants me to do this.
Right.
Or my dad wants me to do this. Or my husband wants me to do this. It's like, I'm not asking you what they want. What do you want?
Yeah.
Because one of my friends and mentors, Mark Rogers, told me one of the greatest things. Joy is an inside job.
That's
It is.
exactly
It
right.
is.
That's
It is.
exactly right.
It is.
And
It's not
that's
an
a pretty
existential.
it's a key principle like in the book too. And I know some people they'll hear like the spiritual self piece and they'll get a little wary, and it's like the way that we have it set up, it's not
I don't get
spiritual in a
wary about it,
religious
just so you
sense
know.
or anything like that. I know, but people do.
They do, right.
And so I always kind of say like spiritual/mental, because regardless of whether or not you have any type of religious affiliation or that you feel connected to anything bigger than yourself in a spiritual sense, everybody wants to be connected and engaged at just the human level. And whether that's being a part of an organization, being a part of a club, being a part of a hobby where other people share your interests, there's still that need for that human connection. And so, I don't know, that's a really big piece in it too, because if you constantly have people telling you, well, that's not cool or that's not interesting, or that's not what we like, you mold yourself into something different.
Right.
And while they might like what you are, if you're not satisfied with yourself, you're literally going to set yourself up to live a life of grief.
Yeah. It's just like another great saying is, people's opinion is none of my business.
Yeah.
People's other opinions of me are none of my business.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
It's you find your tribe.
Yeah.
It's for instance, my ex stepdaughter loved.
My ex-stepdaughter.
I know it sounds weird because it's from my ex-wife. I don't have any. But she loved anime.
Okay.
And she loved going to these like cons and stuff like that. And where if you take the judgment away and your opinions and all this stuff, and you just go and be yourself, you end up having and you find so much more joy in that because you're doing what you love. You're having fun and you're meeting people that you never thought you'd meet and all that kind of stuff. And it's so funny because you can sit on the outside and listen to people like, God, look at all those nerds. What are those weirdos doing? Freaks, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, have you noticed though? You're sitting out here by yourself, and there's like 100 of them. There's 100 of them dressed in these amazing costumes, having a great time.
Right. I think this comes with this whole what she's building though is really about building this confidence so that they can feel okay to do that. Because I think it takes a lot to be able to get to that place, and that's an inside. It's all inside, really. The confidence is inside, the joy, all of that has to be found within. And so many people, they get, like you've said, you've hit on it, is that, they feel like they need to do these things. I've always talked about this. I mean, I talk about all the socialist way we do everything. We tell kids they got to immediately go to college when they get out. Some of them are not ready to go. Some of them need to go find a mentor.
Right.
They need to go do their thing, and not everybody's built to do that. And I think we have to learn that to embrace people where they are, right, and get them comfortable in their skin, whether they're young or adults. I work with the adults. You're working with that risk, but it's the same. We're the same messaging.
Yes.
It's the same messaging. Finding your peace comes about you finding your confidence, and it's built on all those principles: the spiritual, the well-being, the physical, all of it. I mean, you can't be unhealthy and it not manifest somewhere. Like all these things show up, and I always say, how you do one thing is how you do all things, because. They find their way. They creep in. You know, like when you ask people about health things. I told you that whenever I was going through my stuff, and I went to the holistic doctor, and he said to me, what was going on in your life at the time this happened? And I was like, whoa. back
It's a
up.
hard question.
Back up. I said,
Yeah.
dude, I didn't cause this. Like,
Yeah.
excuse me, I'm like the perfect mom. I didn't cause this. I went to the dentist, I got a silver filling out, right?
Yep.
That's it. And here I got this. And then I was able, in retrospect, when I wrote my book, I was able to go back and look at that and go, okay, whoa. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
To come back and go, how did I contribute to this?
Yeah.
Right? How did I contribute to my health? Yeah, something happened that day, but it might not have been as bad had I not been in a prime position, for a lot of chaos already going on in my life. And there was a lot going on at that time. And
Right.
so I think that there's a lot to be said about this.
Yeah.
I just keep going back to the world would be a better place if
Well,
you could
well, and
address
not only
these.
that, but there's also simple little things that you can't give someone joy, but you can share your joy with someone.
Yes,
And there's simple little
absolutely.
things throughout
Yeah.
the day that, for instance, someone the other day I had on a shirt, I can't remember what it was now, but someone was like, "Man, I really like your shirt." And throughout the day,
You
like
know
that,
what shirt that is.
that sticks.
Yeah,
well,
what
that's
was the shirt?
that sticks with you, you
It
know, and you're
does,
like, oh,
yeah.
like, hey, great hat, or hey, you're beautiful, or hey, I really
Yeah.
like those shoes are awesome, or what you're doing
Right.
is like, hey,
Yeah.
anything, any kind of little bitty thing that you can give someone. Like I say hi to almost everyone.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone says hi back, and
Right.
some people look at me like I'm a nut job,
Right.
but
Yep.
that's
But you just do it because you don't
I do it
think
because
about
that's
yeah.
who I am.
That's
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the point is, just embracing who you are. I think that's great. I think what you're doing, like I said, the day that I talked to her, we were on the Zoom for a while. It was like we
was,
needed to
yeah.
go because we both were like,
Right.
like we got things to do, but she has such incredible things. You've got this digital marketing company too. And I think, didn't you get an award or something for
Yes,
this?
we did. Over the summer, we were actually awarded a top content marketing agency award for Dallas, and so that was pretty exciting too.
That's awesome.
But
Congratulations.
yeah,
on
it's there's so many different pieces to the puzzle. But
Yeah, no, I love it. I think this is great. And I think everything really, because you're writing, I mean, I feel like it really all overlaps.
It does, yeah.
And that's the great thing about this is that, if you had different things going on, it's really pretty crafty here because if you were like, I'm a medic over here and then I'm doing
Right.
writing over here
Yeah.
and then I got digital. No, your
Yeah.
stuff is really kind of
they are pretty well
overlapping.
integrated. Yeah.
So and you do fictional novels under a pen name and you've done these you did a screenplay and
Yep.
this is incredible.
Thank you.
Creative.
Thank
I
you.
love it. I love
Yes.
it. Love all the creative. So I want to ask you kind of a serious question because you did say a couple things and you told us, in the pandemic hit and all that. So what do you feel like's been probably the biggest challenge in getting, all these pieces? Because I feel like they're all really come together for you. I feel like everything's kind of
have,
come
yeah.
together now. So
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking this and I'm thinking this. I feel
Yeah.
like you got it together. So what do you feel like has been like maybe the biggest challenge you had to overcome to kind of get,
Yeah.
everything in this joy place for you?
Well, I'll say this. For a long time, I didn't follow my own wisdom, my own advice. And so while I'm over here telling people, do what makes you passionate, do what brings you joy, whatever, I'm also at the same time like, I can do everything and I can, spread myself thin and do all these little things in all these different areas instead of really focusing on the specific things that I was passionate about. And I had two different friends that came to me at completely different times. They don't know each other, so it was kind of wild what both of them said to me. But one of them said to me, Nicole, you're going to have so many opportunities before you, and you cannot say yes to all of them.
That's good
You may
advice.
want to, but you can't say yes to all of them. You can only pick the ones that align with where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
Well, you can't go in every direction at one
Right.
time. You have to pick. And then the other friend said to me, Nicole, you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything. And it was almost the exact same piece of advice, but from two different, friend sets. And at the time, I was just like, yeah, okay, sure, good advice. I agree with that. I tell people that all the time. And then at the same time, I'm trying to work a full-time job and do an agency full-time and a nonprofit and publish all these books and all these different things at the same time. And my health caught up with me. And it was like, okay, now you have to start this new medication. It was chemo. It was something that just kind of knocked me off my feet.
Sure,
And it
sure.
was like, I can't go work 40 hours a day at a full-time, desk job and do all these other things that I know that I'm supposed to be doing. I have to pick. I have to choose between them. So, had a kind of come to Jesus moment, if you will.
I say that one
and
too.
I was
I had
like,
a lot of those.
Yeah. And I was like, I have to pick. I can't keep doing all of it. I'm burning, both ends of the wick, and I'm tired, and I'm getting worse health-wise instead of, really taking the time to rest. And so I quit my full-time job and said, we're just going to dive in headfirst and do this. And I don't know where the finances are going to come from. And I don't know if I'm going to have enough clients to make this work every month. And I don't know if people are even going to be interested in any of the things that I'm writing, but we're going to do it.
We're going to do it.
And so I just kind of took that leap of faith. And my husband was super supportive. My friends were supportive. My board of directors was supportive. I mean, I had so many people that came alongside me, and they were like, we believe in you for doing this, because we were finally doing the very thing that you've been, preaching at everybody else. And so, and I had that wake up call where it's like, I should take my own advice for once, and kind of honed in. And so I'd say that's the hardest part, is actually getting started, because I mean, you can say that you're going to do something for forever, but once you actually start, it's like, this is real. Now I have to set goals. Now I have to, have
Commit.
the support team and really do it.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's funny, because I feel like I just had that conversation with somebody the other day, totally different topic, but I said, I can't coach my clients to do something if I'm not willing to heed my own advice.
Yep. Yes, I do.
And so I feel like we have those moments, when we're in those positions where we're helping other people, where we do that. We go, this is really dumb what I'm doing right now, and I'm telling other people not to be doing this.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like,
Mine was
something
a different
doesn't
story.
add up.
Mine had to do with family, because I'm like, I talk to people about this, and yet here I am doing this right now. No, we're not going to go there. It's good advice for yourself. So,
yes.
But I do agree with you on that. Once you get committed in, and I feel like it's so funny as entrepreneurs, whatever we're doing, I feel like it's funny. We go in and we're like, I don't know where the money's going to come from. I don't know where the sources are going to come, but they just magically appear when they need to appear.
That's
you
right.
know what I'm
Yes.
saying? It's like, it's such a brave, it's either just the most brave move or the most dumb move. You know what I mean? Because it's like, we just go in and we're like, I don't know where it's going to happen. I have no idea what tomorrow's going to bring, but I'm excited.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I always get caught up with kind of like this scale between like, well, what's wise, keeping the job, having, reliable income, all like that's wise.
Right.
But then what's actually like stepping out in faith, this is really what I'm supposed to be doing. And so that's kind of like a hard scale to kind of like tip back and forth between.
Yeah.
But I took the leap, and so far so good.
It's
so
working out for
we're here
you.
today.
Yeah, it's exciting to see all this happening. And I agree with you. You do have to. I feel like practicality. I was like, what am I saying? Practicality.
Practicality. It's a new word.
Talk about making up words. We just made up a new-
Practicality.
He talks. I'm laughing about that because he said he likes to make up words. And I'm like, I just made up a new. I made up a new word for you today, Chloe. Put that in your emails. Practicality.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous. I like that one.
Practicality. So practicality, whatever the word is we're trying to say, I feel like kills more dreams because of the whole, we get into this, okay, well, what's the practical thing to do, right? And then, you really have to just go, but that's not what I want to do.
Right.
That's not what I want to do.
You could live your whole life making the practical decisions and then get to the end of it and realize you missed out on so many opportunities.
That's me. Like, I don't want to be at the end in my bed and they go, what did you,
right.
What did you wish you did?
Right.
Well, I wish I did this. I don't want to be that person. Like, I want to be like, I tried it.
Yeah. Maybe it didn't work out,
Yeah.
but at least I know that now.
Yeah, at least I know not to do that.
That's
That's
exactly
exactly what I was saying. I'm like, if it doesn't work, it's not the end. You just don't do it
just
again.
it's a little pivot, and you just keep going.
You still learn something.
Yes.
You learn not to do it again.
Yes.
I told you the same mistake 100 times. Sometimes we have to do them a few more times, and then we learn, right? Then we're like, okay, fifth time, don't do that mistake again.
Yes.
But you don't want to be the other way, right?
Right.
You don't want to be like, hey, I didn't try, I didn't know. How would I know the answer to that? That's why I love doing this show and getting crazy. You're not crazy, but I love even finding crazy people on here because I just want to know what they're thinking. Like, I really want to know, what are they thinking back there? I shared with you I didn't share this with Chloe, but one of the people that I interviewed a few weeks ago on the show, he drives Uber, or I don't know if it's Uber or Lyft, 7 days a week. He has a nonprofit. He donates 50% of his profits back to his 501c3 to build
the kid
yes
from,
I talked to him finally. I talked to him
and everything.
Yes, he says he's the happiest he's ever been.
I love it.
Now I'm going to say I can't imagine doing that driving all day being happy, but what he's doing is bigger. His purpose is bigger, and so for him, That is huge. But he even told a story on the show about how he was driving this woman around and he reached the destination. And she said, keep driving. Just keep driving, because she wanted to talk to him and hear him tell his stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's building these schools, in Liberia.
Right.
Or he built one, and I think it's housing now 1,000 kids or something like that. And so just, it's to hear stories like that, that's like the woo-woo fuzzy stuff I love. Because I'm like, if somebody can come back and really get to a place where what they're doing, their purpose is bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
And they're happy doing that.
Yeah.
And really that's that. I'm doing Maslow's hierarchy of needs right now because I'm creating my program. So I'm talking about the human needs, self-actualization.
Yes.
Self-actualization. That's a hard word. It's at the very top. And then there's the transcendence on the top. And it's all about, growth and contribution.
Yes.
People are happy when they reach the growth and contribution phase.
Yes.
So when people ask you, is happiness real? Yeah, if you're willing to be growth-minded and contribute, yes, it is. You've got to get beyond yourself because that's the only way you're going to find it.
But that goes back to what Chloe was saying as well with that internal, it's the choices inside of you. One of the examples we give is that everybody has like this little compass inside them, and then it kind of fluctuates like this between like joy and grief. And so every choice you make either pushes the needle more towards you doing something that's fulfilling and satisfactory in life, or misery where every day
and they
you
can't
wake
reside
up
in the same space.
No,
You can't be joy
it's
and grieving
really,
at the same.
Right. It's
You gotta
really
be
one or the other.
Yeah,
but not to say we don't have things that happen that are one-offs, that there's seasons of grief. That's perfectly normal and part of life. But when your entire life is built on, I wish I didn't have to wake up today because I don't want to go to my job that I'm miserable at. And it's
heavy.
sad.
It's heavy.
It's draining. It is.
Yeah,
it's really heavy. So.
And it's hard to be around people that live like that because, especially if you're like us, we're upbeat people, and it's like, it's very taxing on the soul.
She said upbeat. That's a good one.
Upbeat Media Productions. That was totally not even on purpose either. But it is true. Now I'm getting back to serious. It is true, right? Like if you tend to be, we'll get another word, high energy, maybe, I don't know what the word, positive person, and you're around people that their existence is, oh, gee, I had to get up today. I'm like, maybe you should just crawl right back in that bed.
Right. Take some time
for
yourself.
Find another person that is find a person that's going to uplift you, just not me.
Negativity has a tendency to follow negative people.
I agree.
Whereas positivity has a tendency to follow positive people.
I agree. Yeah, it's good stuff. Well, you're doing amazing stuff. So what do you love about all this? What's the best part of all this for you?
That's a tough question. I mean, there's so many pieces to it. For me, I love writing. I love storytelling. Yeah. So every opportunity I get to tell stories, whether they're fictional or nonfiction, that's fulfilling to me. And it doesn't even matter if it's written words or if it's speaking or if it's, telling a story through someone's website design. That for me is the thing, the best thing. Yeah.
So your fiction novels. My daughter loves to read fiction. My oldest daughter. So what kind of books are we talking about here? Where are they? What are they called?
I would say if you think of something that's like a cross between like Lord of the Rings, dystopian future, Hunger Games,
Are you going to give me this list so I can tell her to go look you up?
Yes, but offline because it's a secret.
I know. You got to tell me. You got to tell me because I have a feeling she's going to want to read these. My oldest daughter loves fiction.
Yes.
And she likes all that stuff.
Yes.
Like, what is that show, that series that was on for a while? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones.
She likes all that.
Yeah.
They have games.
Well, I love fiction too, and I think it's funny when people like my wife she likes reality TV, and I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's not something it's not my. I mean, I understand some people like watching the drama and stuff like that. I'm like, but it already happens everywhere.
Right.
I like stuff that just
out there.
I like stuff that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
Like if I'm watching something and they make me believe that there's like a dragon there or something, I'm like, okay, that's really cool.
I love that too. Yeah. Yes. So that's kind of the style of the novels.
You have to tell me some of the names of them, so I'll send them to her to check out because every maybe I'll get them for her for Christmas because here's the thing. If she hasn't read it, somehow found it, every year I buy her, I'll either get her like a book, like a gift card to get books, or I buy her a book. But it seems like every time I get her something, she's like, I've read that. I'm like, reads like crazy.
That's a great hobby.
Yeah. No, it is. It's good. But I mean, it's like so hard because I'm like, I'm just going to get you the gift card to the bookstore. You go pick out the books you want.
Right.
Because, and it's funny, her husband reads more like self-help. She likes all the so they have very different book styles. That
Yes.
Kara's like, I do not like self-help books at all. Doesn't like them.
But see, I think that's what's really cool about more fiction, fantasy, adventure, like those types of stories, because you can still
Yes.
you can instill the exact same values and
Right.
growth and understanding of much higher spiritual and emotional concepts.
That's probably why she
that
likes
people
it.
may not otherwise go pick up the book that says "Be the best you," but you
Yeah.
can see that through the hero's journey. You can see that through the storytelling and so.
I think you've hit something on that because that's one of the things I'm talking about in my
Yeah.
program is the hero's journey. But I think that's probably why she likes it, doesn't really know how to articulate
Yes.
it. You know what I mean? Like, 'cause
Yes.
she's like, I hate self-help books because they tell you what to do.
Right.
Because most people really, and that's what we talked about before, is that most people, if you tell them what to do, that's not going to stick. But if they
Right.
can see that through a story and they can resonate with the story, then it
Yes.
has a little more impact and they can
Yes.
remember it. Because, hey, do you remember that book I read? And that was about so-and-so and so-and-so overcame this and hero's journey.
Yes.
You know, the
It
monomyth.
always is. It
right?
always comes back to that. I think for a lot of people, that's preferable because it's something that you
Yeah.
can step outside of yourself and not feel like I'm having to do all this work,
Yeah.
but still see the story and say, I want to be like that person. I want to
Yeah.
go, on this epic adventure and
Right.
all
No, I
that.
think it's good. I think it's good. I love it. I need to find out because I'm gonna
Sounds
maybe get
good.
her some.
Sounds good.
Maybe I will have a winning piece. I won't have gotten her one that she's already found.
I love it.
don't know. All right. So what advice would you have for somebody maybe starting out? I don't know if we want to say because you've done so many things, but maybe just in the entrepreneur space. We'll just generalize this. Maybe some advice for somebody that they're wanting to start something. They got a big idea and they want to bring this to the forefront.
I think I'd elaborate on what I said earlier about just actually starting it. I think that for a lot of people is the biggest hurdle because I think it's easy to sit down and have the ideas or the thoughts or, whatever about what the possibilities are, but to actually start and get over that first hurdle, that's really what allows you to then bring alongside other people that could help you reach that goal, to start setting the goals yourself, to figure out what it is that you're trying to actually achieve. Because I know with the Treetop Clubhouse, my husband said for years, oh yeah, I can see you doing this. I can see you traveling and speaking and going to schools and publishing books and whatever. And it sounded great. But it wasn't until we were okay, let's file the paperwork with the IRS to actually, form the organization that it was whoa, this just got real. Now I have to actually do what I said I was going to do and follow
Yeah.
through with it. And so getting started, actually just starting, pulling the trigger on it.
Yeah, going with it because that is hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I feel like, it's like this program I'm building right now. I'm on. It's so massive. I can't even tell you. I've already got 500 slide decks in it. I'm nowhere even near.
Wow.
I mean, it's going to be
Yeah.
a beast. And I've been ho-humming on it. We're on ho-hums. Might going to be my new word now. I've been sitting on it for 2 years.
Yep.
I've had the outline, and I
relate.
finally, I joined this mentor program last November. I think I shared this with you. And I did a mastermind at the beginning of October. And so there were 7 of us in this group, and we're working with the mentor. And I just made the decision while I was on that. I'm like, that's it. We're just doing this. We're pulling it. I mean, I'm done. I can't talk about this anymore. You know, it's kind of like you with your pride. I've got a lot of knowledge I've gained over the years, and I feel like from different pieces, from my network marketing, from my my medical stuff I went through, then even my coaching, all of that. And so now I'm knee deep in it, nowhere near even done with this thing. I'm only in maybe 1/100% of this done right now, but it's coming together, and I'm actually excited about how it's coming together. But it was that decision that I was just stuck on, and I know why I was stuck on it because I know it's going to be a beast. I know that it's going to be hard to get this done, and because I'm trying to create the monomyth, the hero's journey through this whole thing. It's not about let me show you everything you can do. It's how do I take you through this immersion from day one to the end so that I create this massive change. It's not me telling you, oh, you need to eat right, or you need to think about the people you're hanging out with, and you need to think about it's for entrepreneurs, or you need to think about what is your unique selling proposition. What are you even pitching, and are you building? It's walking from the beginning of how do we build the dream, how do we build you as a human being, and how do we build your business, because these pieces have to go together.
That's right.
So the decision, it's the decision. It always comes down. It comes down to that. Once you make it, it's like.
It doesn't mean it's easy after
No,
that. But
no.
like you were saying earlier, I mean, the right people just show up at magically the right time
do.
to be there to support you through it. And that's what's happening with the Treetop Clubhouse. As soon as we got the Joy Project, like the first piece of it pushed out, all of a sudden it was like, oh, well, we have this school over here that's interested in this, and we have this program that's interested, and we have this ranch that we're building for at-risk youth, and they're interested in, you know, these kinds of resources. And it was like, whoa, like the need's there. We just had to go. We had to do it.
You had to put it into the universe.
Yeah.
Put it out there.
Yes.
That's what I would say. You got to put it out there.
Yes.
And then the people show up. It's kind of like, what is it? The teacher arrives when the student's ready to learn.
Yes.
Like you hear the same thing. I love that when I'm coaching people and they'll be like, hey, I heard this. And I'm like, wow, how many times have I said that to you?
Right.
I guess you were ready to receive.
But people get it in their own time, and that's fine.
But they hear it when they're ready to hear it. It comes, right? It shows up at the right time. Is that Chase talking to us?
Yeah, right.
He's like, I'm adding to that. Right on. Right on. Well, this has been fun. I think we need to do some fun rapid fire questions. You've got so much great stuff. I know we could talk forever about everything that you're doing, and I'm so excited to really just kind of watch you grow, keep growing
Thank
through
you.
this. I think
It's
that's the fun part of this. But I think we need to do some fun questions. What
I
do you
agree.
think?
I agree.
You guys,
I
anything
do.
you want to start?
What is your favorite guilty pleasure food?
Oh.
Ooh, that's a
She's
tough
like,
one.
wait a minute, off topic.
Okay, there's this company in Plano. I don't remember for the life of me the name of it, but they make this toffee that has like almond and milk chocolate in it and whatever. And every time I go to the state fair, they always have a little booth and they're selling it there, and it's delicious.
She's like,
So I'll like buy extra and keep it in my freezer, and every once in a while I'll just go sneak a piece.
Do you keep it for a long time? Like you
Yeah,
haven't,
yeah, it's
you'd be
really
like
good. I mean,
me.
they're located in Plano, so I'm sure I could just drive over to their shop and buy more. But it's like I bought it at the fair, I got it in the freezer.
That's all I need,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And it's so good.
I'm feeling you there. I'm feeling because I do that with stuff. It's like I don't want to have it too handy because I don't want too much, but just buy a limited amount.
Just a piece
Keep it
here
in
and
there.
there.
Right now, it's so funny. We bought for Halloween. You know, I had my daughter go buy candy for Halloween when she did it on the day of Halloween. So she comes back with a big bag of Reese's peanut butter cups. I need
Nice.
peanut butter.
The little pumpkin ones.
Peanut
No.
Oh no.
These are the big
normal
ones, and they're
Oh,
green and they're white chocolate, and I love white chocolate.
Oh, that's awesome. I do
And they're-
too.
but
So here's the thing that Reese's, I don't know why they don't capitalize on this. The best Reese's peanut butter cup are the Reese's eggs at
eggs.
Easter because
No,
it
that's
is
true.
more chocolate and more peanut
That's
butter.
true.
They're huge.
He loves
That's
peanut
true.
butter. That's why we're talking.
My
I'm a
husband,
peanut butter
he agrees with you. He'll
I
swear
will-
that up and down.
Do you
I
want
will
some
go-
Reese's
Yes.
peanut butter cups? I got a whole bunch.
Oh,
of
no.
them.
No. Only the eggs.
Eggs. I will go buy the
That was good.
eggs and I will literally put them in the freezer and
Yep.
keep them for as
So
long
if I
as
get a bunch
possible.
of those, I can bring you those.
Yes.
You want those?
Tons.
Yes.
Oh,
I have
they're
a
the
whole
best.
bunch of Reese's
You
peanut
just
butter
start
cups
looking
right
March, April. You just be on the
now. Like
lookout.
they're
I
the
pulled
best.
one out the other day, and I'm like, I need a bite of white. Like I don't eat that stuff because I can't. I get
Right.
the sugar makes me sick.
Right.
I'm like, but I need some of that white chocolate.
Yep.
So I got a Cutco knife out because I still have those.
Yes.
And I pull it out. You remember Cutco? I've had it for 20
I
years.
used to sell
I've had
Cutco,
it for 20
That's
years. Like the
amazing.
knives never die. So I pull out my white steak Cutco knife, right? I gotta cut the peanut butter thing in four quarters because I want the white chocolate, just the quarter. I could eat that for 4 days.
Yes.
And it'd probably take me 10
That's
because
right.
I don't eat it every day. So I
That's
could put
right.
it back in a Ziploc bag, stick
Yep.
it back in the freezer.
It'll
Oh no,
last.
see,
know?
I couldn't. I have to eat like 4 or 5 Reese's
That's why you
peanut
don't want
butter
me to
cups.
bring you.
That's
I gotta,
But-
you just let me know if you want it, but how much.
So, and for your husband, if he likes peanut butter like I do, they make a 1 pound Reese's peanut butter cup that
Wow.
is this big, and you
Wow.
do have to like, no way. Like I cut it and I have to like eat a very thin slice because that's all I
That's
can
a
handle.
lot.
Well, I
yeah.
like peanut butter. I do about a spoon every day, a tablespoon out of
Nice.
the Smucker's crunchy peanut butter.
Very nice.
Yeah, every
Very
day. I
nice.
love peanut butter. But it's even better when it has chocolate on it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So, anyways, but if either of you want any, by the way, I have tons of Reese's peanut butter cups.
Noted.
Nobody has eaten them. Where I'm like impressed. Nobody's touching them.
Well, what is it? Sam's is selling the bin of like
big, yes.
350
Oh my goodness.
Reese's
That would
peanut.
take me 20 years.
I walked by and I looked at it and I was like, that's just evil.
They would rot in my
It's
house.
so mean.
But kids could do it, you know. They
Yeah.
It's
that's
just
That's
awful.
lunch.
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
would they
Well, when I
do
was
that?
younger, we used to be Butterfinger and Dr. Pepper. When I was in my 20s, every day Butterfinger and Dr. Pepper.
Yes.
Like
Those are my two favorite.
I
growing up,
cannot
too.
imagine.
Whatchamacallits.
Those are good too.
Whatchamacallits.
Those are
I
good
haven't
too.
had
The
in a
peanut
while.
butter in there and the
Yes.
crunch.
Yes.
Oh,
That's a good
yeah.
combo. Yeah.
Okay, we're off candy bars. No more candy bar talk. All
Not very
right.
rapid fire.
All right. So
You're
besides
right.
all your amazing books, do you have another favorite author?
Ooh.
Or maybe a favorite book? Maybe that'd be a little easier. just a favorite book, maybe a book that you can think of that you read that was like.
I have a lot of favorite
She's
books.
like, oh gosh, I just opened like.
Stumped
Ooh.
me. You stumped me.
Okay, so are they all fiction that you like, or you have some self-helps that you like?
I read a little bit of everything, and I read a lot of stuff that's like research-based kind of things too. So my husband and I, we study like Eastern teaching methods and things like that. And so a lot of the books that we read are like from that perspective as well, as opposed to Western.
She's also speaking my language.
So,
Yep.
Wow, I don't think I can
Okay,
answer
well,
that.
we're just
That's
going to
a
say you
lot.
like a lot. You
I
read
like
a lot.
of
Okay,
books.
you read a lot. You have one, Chloe?
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
I do. Hold on. Favorite destination spot.
I'm sitting here thinking about books. I'm
Ooh,
like,
Yeah.
Yellowstone National Park.
She came up with one.
That's
she got
our
bam, She
favorite
got that
place.
fast.
Favorite place in the whole world, Yellowstone National
Okay.
Park. Especially if you go in May, then it's baby season, so there's little baby bears.
there's
It's
Oh.
wonderful.
I learned random. I am chock full of useless knowledge. Literally, there is a 5 square mile section of Yellowstone National Park where murder is legal.
Oh
Really?
yeah, because where the 4 states converge.
Yeah.
I did know this.
And I was like,
it's terrifying.
yeah.
Don't
None
go.
of-
Don't go
it's
in that. Don't go in that
terrifying. Yeah.
section.
And
But the bears
also,
have a field day in there.
and also there's a they reintroduced the wolf back into Yellowstone
did?
a few years ago.
Yep.
And when the wolves left, the ecological toll that it took on Yellowstone was incredible.
Yeah, it really did.
It was
change a lot.
amazing.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
Just
That's one place I've
It's
been.
worth it. I mean,
It's
you rent a
gorgeous.
car, you're driving. Like, we don't necessarily get out and do like a ton of long distance
Sure.
hiking. We might do some short things for specific sites, but we drive around and just look for animals. And I take my camera and shoot photos of bears and
Yeah.
stuff. And
it makes you understand why Jack Dutton is able to kill people to keep his property.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, when I was in Montana over the summer, we got to see a porcupine climb up the mountain.
That's
for
fun.
free. Yeah, I used to see all kind of wild things over there. But I
like
haven't been to
that.
Yellowstone. I think my sister's been there, and a lot of people have been there. I've not been
It's
there.
beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
May's the time to go.
Yeah, very cool. All right, you have anything else? Because I got one last. Okay, one last question. What's in your Amazon cart?
What's in my Amazon
See if she
cart
has
right
anything.
now?
A book that she can't read.
It's probably a book. It probably is. I don't necessarily keep them in the cart, but I have that little like save
I'm
for
just
later.
messing with you. I have that too. I'm messing with you. It made me think of Brian when Brian Flanagan was on the show, and I said, "What was the name of that book?" And he's like, "A memory book." You saw the clip I put out was a memory book. I figured out it was Spin Selling was the book. Afterwards, I'm like, oh,
I love
Spin
it.
Selling.
I love it.
Anyway, so we have to have fun on here. But you know what? Hey, the Amazon card is good. I don't know what's in mine right now either. I might be actually empty at the moment. I did have to buy my son a new LED light because
That is so funny because that's what I have in my cart right now, LED lights.
well,
But
this is for a fish tank. Yeah.
Mine are for work though.
This is for fish
big
tank.
LED lights.
I did just buy one like 4 days ago, and it was for setups like this and everything for my little home office. So,
Yeah.
but it's
But
already arrived.
is it as cool as my Millennium Falcon
Nothing
desk
will
light?
ever be as cool as that.
Star Wars, fun stuff. All right, well, this has been amazing, Nicole. If our
Yes.
audience wants to learn a little bit more about you and what you've got going on, where do we want to send them?
So NicoleElizabethSmith.com is my author website, and it has links to Fine Pearls Media, to Tree Talk Clubhouse, books, all of that stuff.
I love it. You got it all.
It's a central point that then kind of feeds back out.
I like it. So we'll make sure that we send them there. We'll get the links on there so that they know where to go. That's good. Smart move
cool.
on your part.
Thanks.
It's like hard. I mean, you have the separate pages, but if you can bring them into one place,
Yes.
definitely worth it. So.
Yes.
All right. Well, we want to say to our listeners, of course, if you enjoy our show, please be sure you give us a rating on iTunes, Facebook. We can't do this without you. Do that. Yeah, really do that. And then hit that subscribe button on YouTube so we can keep creating fun content and get these cool people to come talk to us, right?
And so we can give Jennifer some more tongue twisters.
Yeah, some more tongue twisters. Hey, I did pretty good on this one. The last one, I could not talk. My brain sometimes works a little faster than my mouth, and
I
I can't. Do you have
agree.
that problem?
I do, yeah.
I
I'll
feel like
start
my
saying gibberish, and people are like, "Are you good? Like, are you having a stroke?"
yeah,
And
no,
I'm like,
it's my
just
brain
me,
is
I'm
going.
fine."
Yeah, my brain's going
I know
about
what I
90
mean
miles
to
a
say.
minute. I'm thinking about like, okay, I'm talking now, but I got the next thing I gotta make
Yes.
sure that the next question comes together. Yes. All right. So we said all the important things, and we do want to leave you guys with a final parting thought. Show's been fun. And this will go back to your point about starting. All right. Everybody pull it together. We're laughing too hard. In order to live the extraordinary, you must start. Every start begins with a decision. Yeah. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.